On the last episode of Sailing Nervous, while out in the bay, suddenly white smoke filled the engine room, the temperature gauge went off of the meter, and white smoke poured out of the exhaust. So before a fire could start, I turned the engine off, set the anchor, and called for help. My biggest concern was the engine. Did it seize? If so, the engine would no longer be able to be used. In this episode, we find out what exactly happened to the engine. If I cannot turn the crankcase shaft by hand, it means the engine is seized and the engine is done. So here we go, moment of truth. Is our engine ruined or not? It's turning.
Joy to
It's turning.
the
It turned.
world, the Lord is come.
It's always a helpful resource to join the owner's group of whatever sailboat you might purchase, whether it's a Hunter or an Island Packet, or in my case, Moody. I got a lot of information from the Moody's owners group. They shared with me that the first thing I should do is check to see if I can move the crank shaft. If I can, they said I need to disassemble the raw water line to get rid of all those little rubber gibbets and bits. Even though we have a 30-year-old diesel engine with no prior experience, Amy and I have not paid a penny to any mechanic to help us to problem solve and get it running.
Okay, so Vin and I are now looking for all the rubber pieces from the impeller if they are stuck anywhere in the raw water pipes. So we're taking them apart to see if we can get any of the impeller pieces out. This is fun, right, Vin?
At least the engine's not seized, right?
Hey, that's absolutely the best thing, so.
Amy here is taking off the pipe in which the raw water comes in, and we're checking the inside to make sure there's no rubber bit stuck. This is where the water is diverted, also goes down and cools the oil. Or should I say it cools the oil filter, or so I read.
Looks like jackpot. Vin found all the little rubber pieces of the impeller.
Well, maybe not all, but it sure was rewarding finding a bunch of these rubber gibbets in there to be able to take them out of our engine. You know, we used to smell burning rubber in the engine. If any tiny pieces of rubber could make it through those little honeycomb holes, it would eventually wind up into the heat exchanger right here. So we did our best to get out what we could. See that rubber thing in the far right? We couldn't actually even get that off. I think it might have been like heat melted on.
Okay, we've done a lot of work today clearing out the lines, and so now Vin is going to start up the engine.
So we just fired up the engine and it looks like it's good, so that's a big relief. Take a look and see what how the water's flowing. We want to make sure that there's no water coming out of the water impeller as well here.
It's totally dry. Woo!
Next, we keep an eye on the temperature. It should not go higher than 200. Our audible temperature alarm is broken on this engine, we found out, so we have to figure out how to rig some type of sensor on it as well so we can hear an audible alarm should the temperature go over 200.
So happy. This could have been such a catastrophe, and it's instead a blessing because we totally got to learn a whole nother part about the engine. So, you know, awesome learning experience, and I'm very, very grateful. Well, it's the end of a long day of fixing up the engine and going through different systems just to make sure we got all the pieces of the impeller, and it feels so rewarding to have just gotten calm. Then he was like, let's step by step figure out, research what we need to do to get it working. And he's just a real pro at doing that kind of research. And we did that, and it's really rewarding to see that we got that engine running again. So I'm so encouraged. There was folks saying, you can do it, and there were also folks saying, it'll run. So just, yes, that's true, it worked out. Because if it hadn't worked out, it could have been seriously an issue, since a new engine would have seriously delayed any kind of plans that we have for moving forward. So, but that's not what happened. What happened is we were able to fix that engine, get the impeller pieces out, and start the engine. So I'm really excited, and I'm very proud of my husband, and it's a great day.
Thanks for watching. In the next episode of Sailing Nervous, we do disassemble the piping into the heat exchanger, look for more rubber bits, and then we fire up the engine and we test it under load, which means we take it out and really push that engine.